ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be? For me, you're me, Louie T. Welcome to Monday Night Football overtime. Niners, Vikings, and I always talk about in this league, look out for the desperate team. 49ers have been riding high. Obviously, some big injuries. No Deebo Samuel, no Trent Williams. That definitely alters some of the things you can do, but no excuses. Vikings don't have Justin Jefferson. So Vikings started off the season 0-3, and you could argue, and I feel this way, they outplayed all three of the first three opponents that they played, and they started the season 0-3 because of turnovers. I thought they outplayed the Bucs and lost by 3 with 3 turnovers, and the Bucs had none. They outplayed the Eagles. They turned it over like 4 or 5 times that night and only lost by 6, including Justin Jefferson fumbling at the 1. And I thought they outplayed the Chargers. Turned it over 3 times or 4 times in that game too and lost. And so when you looked at their season, it was sort of like the inverse of what the Chargers had done to start the season off. They were 0-2 and hadn't turned the ball over yet. And you're just like, what is going on? But through all of that, you started 0-3. You've won now 3 out of your last 4. And you're 3-4 in the season. And they came into this game knowing they don't have any margin for error. As a fan of a team that started the season 1-4 last year and dug ourselves out of that hole, it can be done. But there's a very small margin for error, and you've got to win. And there's got to be a win or 2 in there that nobody thought you were going to get. No one gave the Vikings a chance tonight. Despite Trent Williams not playing, despite no Deebo Samuel, nobody gave them a chance to win this game. 49ers are pissed. They're going to bounce back. That was an aberration against Cleveland. They heard all of that stuff. Pretty sure they were probably 8-9 point underdogs in this game, if I had to guess. I didn't look at the line before the game. Every bit of 7 at least. And don't think that they didn't know about that either. And they came out and they played spirited ball. And if I'm a 49ers fan, I'm not overreacting to this loss. I'm taking note of it, but I'm not overreacting. But if I'm a Vikings fan, I'm damn excited about this win. You just beat one of these. And an Eagles fan asked me yesterday, can you admit that we're the best team in the NFC? I'm like, nah, it's still the 49ers. Okay, no, now you're the best team in the NFC now. And figuratively and literally, you're the best team in the NFL right now, or the NFC rather. So you're 6-1. You and the Chiefs, the same 2 teams that met in the Super Bowl last year, are atop the NFL. And so this is a step back for the 49ers. But when it's all said and done, I think that this means more for the Vikings than it did the 49ers. And that's kind of why this outcome, I think, was reached. They were the desperate team. They played like it. I don't think we saw that sense of desperation from San Francisco tonight. Let's start with the Vikings. Obviously, to the victors go the spoils. They got it done tonight, 22-17. And hats off to Kirk Cousins. That's my guy. Y'all know I'm a Kirk Cousins apologist. I ride for my guy. I always felt like he should have been in Washington. He never gets the credit that he deserves. Anytime they lose, it's his fault. Anytime they win, it's never his fault, or it's never because of him, right? It's in spite of him. He never gets the credit that he deserves. He was magnificent tonight. Yep, threw a pick on the first possession of the game. Yep, probably should have thrown another one right before the half. And you could argue that's the game-winning play right there. A game you win by 5, you steal points right before the half. That should have been picked off by Charvarius Ward. But instead it goes for a touchdown. But it's not those 2 plays that I want to focus on. That's what everybody else is going to focus on, because if you don't like Kirk Cousins, those are the 2 plays you're going to talk about. He got picked off, and he should have been picked off again because there's a narrow focus when it comes to Kirk Cousins. It's all the plays in between. They were 8 of, I want to say they were 8 of 12 on third downs tonight. And one of the third downs, the one at the very end, that was a give up. We're just going to run it, burn clock, kick this field goal. It didn't work out for them, but Kirk was spectacular. He was under duress on some of these plays, and I'm thinking to myself, like that last one he threw to Addison. Are you kidding me? There's one where Talanoa Hufanga is in his face on a boot, and he's able to still find the receiver coming across the field. Like, Kirk was in his bag tonight. What did he end up? 35 of 45 for 378, 2 touchdowns and an interception against one of the best defenses in football. That's no small feat. Credit this Vikings offensive line too, because for years we killed the Vikings offensive line. They continue to invest resources into that offensive line, and it's gotten better and better and better. And now 45 dropbacks tonight, not a single sack on Kirk Cousins. Now, again, there were about 5 or 6 plays that would have been sacks with quarterbacks that don't know where the outlet is or doesn't have an opportunity to get rid of the football. There was almost an intentional grounding, right? There was another play on that bootleg. That's either a throwaway or a sack for most quarterbacks. Kirk knew exactly where that next option was coming across the field. Quickly snapped his eyes around, got to that second receiver, and got the football out. That's being in the same offensive scheme for multiple years. That's knowing where everyone is supposed to be on the field. That's just know-how. That's just experience, just being in the game for as long as he's been in it. But there were plays that he made under duress where he made throws where he got hit and delivered a dime. He was locked in tonight. Who else was locked in? TJ Hockenson. Super intelligent TJ Hockenson. He was locked in as well. But the star of the show, not named Kirk Cousins tonight, was, of course, Jordan Addison. And the rookie wide receiver made his presence felt, and I've liked what I've seen from him all season long, even when Jefferson was in the lineup. This young fella has talent, and I think he's the perfect complement. He's not a speed demon. He's an excellent route runner, great hands. To me, he's the perfect complement to Justin Jefferson. Jefferson is going to get so much attention on the opposite side of the field, and this dude is going to do work on the other side. And this kind of feels like Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, where you've got another young guy that's capable of carrying the load when the big guy is out. And we saw that towards the end of Julio's run in Atlanta, where the Falcons felt really confident that, hey, Calvin Ridley can be our true number one. Like, you've been hurt so much. We didn't see this young fellow go out here and blossom, that we feel like he can do it. That's kind of what we're seeing from Addison now. Again, small sample size, but we know what this dude is. Coming out of Pitt, we knew the one thing that was going to stop him from being a top flight receiver and one of the first ones drafted was his lack of top end speed. But that doesn't take away from the fact that this dude is a dog as a receiver. And we saw it tonight, and we've seen it all season long. So kudos to him for getting the job done. He was huge tonight. I think what he had 12 catches or some craziness like that. Got a cramp, came back in and made his presence felt. Made some big plays tonight, including that touchdown grab right before the half, which was huge because it felt like the 49ers had wrestled away the momentum right before the half, getting that touchdown, trimming the deficit to 3 at 10-7. It felt like they had wrestled all the momentum back, and they were going to get the ball after the half as well. So it just felt like the shift in the game was leaning towards the 49ers, and Uncle Mo was starting to get up and make his way across the field. And then Addy catches that pass and runs for the touchdown. And Uncle Mo says, hey, think I can get another one of those cold ones? They was like, yeah, sure, absolutely. You want anything else? He's like, nah, just give me a cold one for now. I'm good. and he never really got up. The Vikings did a really good job of keeping the 49ers at arm's length in this game, and you got to credit their defense for that. The offense did a really good job of shortening the game, because when you convert 7 or 8 third downs in the efficient manner, this wasn't 8 of 19, okay? This wasn't 7 of 18. This was either 7 of 11 or 8 of 12 or 7 of 12. Let's look it up. At one point, they were 7 of 10. I think they converted the next one, and then they, pretty much did a give up on the last one just to get themselves in the position to kick the field goal and burn clock. 8 of 13. I mean, when you go 8 of 13, let's see time of possession. You win the time of possession, 34 to 25, right? 34 to 26 is what it ended up being. The Vikings were incredible on offense, but also credit the Vikings defense. How about forcing that fumble? I thought the biggest play of the game, and we could look at all of the plays made, and Cam Bynum was outstanding tonight. That young fellow was balling. However, I thought the biggest play of the game was him. Didn't he force the fumble too? If I'm not mistaken, I think it was him. Let me check the stats real quick. See if that was him as well. This young fella might have had himself a game for the ages, because he had 2 picks. I want to say he was the one that forced the fumble. Let's see. Doesn't show me who forced the fumble. Only shows me who recovered it. I think he was the one that forced it. Either way, that was a huge play, because if the 49ers score off of that Kirk pick to start the game off, they got all the momentum. And when you're at home and you want to get the crowd involved and you know that the opposition is the better team, you can't let them start fast. It's tough to rebound when that happens. It's not impossible, but it's tough to rebound in those situations. So getting that fumble and stopping the 49ers from getting any points on that sudden change of possession, that's huge. That's huge. And then to take it and then go score your own points, that's double the trouble for the 49ers. So it was a monster game for them defensively. You force that fumble, you force 2 picks of Brock Purdy, seal the game with the final one. I think their last 2 drives, if I'm not mistaken, both ended in Brock Purdy interceptions. Maybe there was a punt in between there. But Bynum was huge. I thought they did a really good job of kind of forcing him out of the pocket. He never really got to just stand back there and deliver. A lot of times he had to either step up or he had to run up and then run out, to his right and try to make something happen. There was a lot of guys getting up the field, forcing Purdy off of his spot. They talked about it in the first half. Like, Purdy is a timing and rhythm quarterback. He does not have the strongest arm in the world. So a lot of what he does, a lot of the success that he has is predicated on timing and rhythm. Back foot hits the ground, ball is out, right? That's what they showed in the first half. A lot of timing and rhythm, a lot of back foot hits the ground, ball's out, throwing to a spot, not necessarily throwing to a receiver, but throwing to a spot, and that receiver is supposed to be there. And so I thought that's what happened on the first pick is Jennings got rerouted, right? Jennings got rerouted. Juwan Jennings got rerouted, and Purdy was throwing to a spot, expecting Jennings to be there. Now, I agree with Troy Aikman. Even if he doesn't get rerouted on that play, I think he still threw that too far to the right. I don't think Jennings would have been there, regardless of if he had been rerouted or not, which he did, and he got rerouted in a massive way down the field. You could argue that it was probably, illegal contact that far down the field, but it doesn't matter. Purdy threw to a spot, and this guy wasn't there, and Bynum was the beneficiary of that. So when you're able to get him off his spot, force him to either step up, and it wasn't just a step up, like slide up and reset. It was he had to run up and then run out a lot of times. So credit the Vikings defensively for, kind of making things a little tougher on Purdy, making him throw on the move. Again, when you don't have the strongest arm in the world, throwing on the move isn't the easiest task to complete. Also did a really solid job of slowing down Christian McCaffrey in the ground game. That's something the 49ers love to lean on. And my guy Niners fan have been, harping on this all season long. Like, I think we're using McCaffrey too much. The fact that this man didn't come off the field, I think he might have played every offensive snap. At one point, they had 44 offensive snaps. He had played all 44. That's ridiculous. It's not like you don't have other guys like Mason and some of these other backs that you can't put on the field and get this man. And I know McCaffrey is a hyper-competitive guy, and there's no Deebo Samuel, so you want him out there because he's going to be able to take some of that pressure off of the other guys that are out there trying to replace Deebo Samuel's production. But still, come on now. Man's playing with an oblique injury. And I know it hasn't been bothering him in 3 days. But that doesn't mean you go out there and run him into the damn ground. But that's no here nor there. Credit the Vikings defensively for slowing him down, even though he did score 2 touchdowns and kept his streak going of consecutive games with at least 1 touchdown. But he didn't hurt them big like he had hurt a lot of teams this season on the ground with big runs. And you look up and it's 22 carries, 147 yards. That wasn't his night. So they said, all right, Juwan Jennings, Ayuk, we know you're capable, but Juwan Jennings and Kittle and what's my guy name? I want to call him. I know it ain't Travis Benjamin. I can't think of his name. But the return man, y'all beat me. Y'all beat me. I'm about to look it up. I'll be in here busting my brain while I'm talking to y'all, trying to think about his name in my head this entire time. Ray McLeod, yeah. Y'all beat me. Ray McLeod, George Kittle, and Juwan Jennings. Y'all beat me. I won't let Ayuk do it. Y'all beat me. And they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. So credit to the Vikings, man. That was a gutsy performance. You made 22 points stick. Despite a missed kick late that gave the 49ers life and great field position, you made the plays when you had to make them tonight. You made the plays when you had to make them, and Bynum was the star defensively, and Addison, along with Kirk Cousins, were the stars offensively. In a game that you had to win, you can't afford to drop to 2-5 and think you're going to make something of your season. Now you're 1 game away from getting back to 500, and I think it's another opponent that you should. I think the next 2 or 3 games, and we talked about this 2-3 weeks ago on the podcast, where I'm like, you can turn it around, but with no Justin Jefferson and the 49ers coming up, highly unlikely that you do turn it around. But now that you've navigated this, beating the Bears, beating the 49ers, now you got the Packers, then you got the Falcons, and then the Saints, and then the Broncos, then the Bears again, the Raiders. You can win all 6-7 of those games. You don't have to lose another game. We could be talking about you in late December saying, damn, remember when the Vikings were 0-3? And we look up and you're 11-4 or you're 9-4. Damn, remember when the Vikings were 0-3 and you 10-4? It can happen. I'm looking at this schedule, and I think you're going to be favored in every single one of these games outside of maybe the Falcons game on the road. And you might even be favored there. Who knows? We'll see. Anyway, let's get to the 49ers side of things. Tough loss, 2 in a row now. Questions will be asked. People will be looking at you a lot differently than they were just 3 weeks ago when you dismantled the Dallas Cowboys on a Sunday night. And, all of the questions and concerns are warranted, right? They are fair. I'm not going to overreact. I still think that this is an extremely well-coached football team, extremely physical, can beat you in multiple ways. I still think that this is a damn good offense. I still think this is a damn good defense. But I do think that there are limitations and there are things that they're going to have to expand in order to be where they want to be at the end of all of this. And I think the first thing that they're going to have to do is they're going to have to find a way to expand the offense to more than just, the drift route over the middle of the football field, getting it to McCaffrey in the screen game or getting it to McCaffrey. Like, I think they're going to have to utilize McCaffrey a little bit more as a pass catcher. That's a clear advantage that you have when he's out in space, and not just the Texas route over the middle of the field or the swing route to him. I'm talking about he needs to be running a wheel route up the sideline, right? You got to find more creative ways to get him even more involved, if that's even possible. I think you're going to have to find ways to maybe stretch the football field vertically, but like a Ray McCloud or something. I feel like a lot of what the 49ers do is that intermediate, like sort of like the Rams, that intermediate, which makes a ton of sense because McVay came from the Shanahan tree. But that intermediate to short passing game is what they live off of, is what they thrive off of. They don't really push the football vertical all that much to back teams up. So they're very comfortable coming up and challenging on those dig routes over the middle of the field. You saw how close guys were to Kittle and to Brandon Ayuk and to Jawan Jennings. Those guys weren't backed off. They're very comfortable being right in that 15 to 18-yard range because there's no threat of a vertical receiver beating me over the top. They're going to have to find ways to threaten teams vertically to back them up a little bit more, I feel like. Defensively, I think they have to scale back on some of I thought they were unnecessarily aggressive tonight. There were a lot of instances where I'm seeing these 0 blitzes or you're bringing 6, and I'm like, that's not really necessary. And the Vikings had the perfect play call for it. They called a screen on one of them, got a big play out of it. They had another play where Kirk got it out of his hands quickly to Hawkinson, and he made something happen. Like, I thought early on, especially, the Vikings scored on 5 consecutive possessions. Now, what you did do well tonight was you buckled down in the red zone. And that's why this game was even close. Because if the Vikings, and I've talked about the red zone struggles this season for a lot of NFL teams. I think the Vikings went 1 of 3 tonight, is my guess. The Vikings went 0 of 2 in the red zone. So that's why the game was even as close as it was. You convert inside. One of them, I think it was a 20-yard field goal that you kicked, right? You convert on those, and we probably not even having this conversation about this game being as close as it ultimately ended up being. So if you're the 49ers, good job of forcing them to kick field goals. That's what kept you in the game. But you can't give up what you gave up to this Vikings team without Justin Jefferson. And again, it wasn't the points. It was the yardage. It was allowing them to convert the way, like these weren't 3rd and 3s. They, at one point, Troy Aikman was talking about the success that the Vikings were having on 3rd down. And he made it seem like the Vikings were doing a great job of putting themselves in 3rd and 3 and 4, consistently. No, they were constantly in 3rd and 8, 9, 10, 11. And Kirk was delivering, darts down the field and picking up first downs and moving the sticks. There were probably, of the 13 third downs, my guess is 8 of them were probably 3rd and 8 or longer, 3rd and 7 or longer. Like, these were some big time 3rd down conversions, and the 49ers were consistently giving them up. And that's not what we're used to seeing. That is not characteristic of this defense. It was actually odd seeing them be so inconsistent defensively tonight. There was really no pressure to speak of, and maybe that's why they were bringing so much pressure. And maybe they knew something that I didn't know, because I expected pressure tonight in terms of the front 4, making life hell on Kirk Cousins and maybe getting him to turn it over once or twice, but they weren't able to do that. And so I think that prompted them to bring pressure, and it didn't get home, and they paid for it multiple times throughout the night. So including, and I'm a little baffled as to why you're so aggressive right before the half with 9 seconds left, and you give up the touchdown. Like, I just don't understand how you give up one-on-one coverage in that. And again, he was in great position to make the play, but still, risk reward in that situation. The risk of going after him and giving up the touchdown, is that greater than the reward of getting to him and, ending the half? Or maybe creating a turnover and you may get a field goal off of it unless you scoop it up and run for a touchdown. I mean, those are very unlikely scenarios. The one that stands out above the rest is you giving up a touchdown. Where's the psychological sense in that? Travarius Ward has the ball wrestled away from him, and there's not another 49er defender in sight. The next closest guy is Fred Warner, who's coming and busting ass from 20 yards away trying to catch up to Jordan Addison. He's not going to catch him. What are we doing? I just thought it was too aggressive from Steve Wilks tonight. Too aggressive. Unnecessarily, if you ask me. But there's times I thought you pick your spots. There are times I thought the Vikings did a really good job in the first half of kind of setting the tone and pushing them back a bit. Like, if you sure you want to do this? You sure you want to come after us? Because we got something for that ass. You sure you want to do this? And it went both ways because the 49ers caught the Vikings in a blitz multiple times. Brian Flores, super aggressive. And they caught that Christian McCaffrey touchdown catch was a screen essentially to the house. Caught their ass being aggressive. So both teams, I thought, did a really good job of catching the opposition on blitzes with screens and hurting them. But if you're the 49ers, I think this is a bit of a wake-up call, right? Where you kind of look yourself in the mirror and say, who do we want to be? Because a lot of people are going to try to come after Brock Purdy, and I'll just say this. Young quarterbacks are going to make mistakes. He wasn't good last week. I thought he was good tonight, and then at the very end, you had the 2 turnovers. He was really good up until the final 3 possessions, let's call it. He's really good tonight. Made great decisions, showed great athleticism and escapability, bought time to find receivers down the field. I thought he did everything right up until that first interception, and then things kind of went sideways on him. But that's the maturation of a young quarterback. These kinds of mistakes, these types of situations are going to arise. People forget, Brock Purdy doesn't even have a full season of starts under his belt. He's now 10-2 as a starter in this league in the regular season. Understand that there are still growing pains to come with a young quarterback. Not to mention not having, one of his biggest targets out there for him tonight. But that said, can't have the mistakes at that crucial time in the game. Can't have it. It happened. I thought tonight, what I saw from Brock Purdy, and I've seen this from him before, but I thought specifically tonight, he was being greedy. Purdy was being greedy. A lot of opportunities in front of him, and he's throwing to the second level throw instead of taking the first level throw. That's what happened on the interception at the very end. Had a guy underneath, went for the shot down the field, threw in the coverage, and young quarterbacks always think, I can fit it in there. I know if I just put enough touch on it. I watch my team's young quarterback, Sam Howell, do the same thing against Buffalo. There's a receiver open. It's enticing. They want you to throw this because they got a defender under there, and if he jumps up, he can pick it off. But in your mind, you're telling yourself, if I just put enough touch on this, I'll get it over that defender right to my receiver. It's a tough ask. Where was the front 4 pressure, though? That's as a fan of a team that's supposed to have this vaunted pass rush, and there are plenty of games where we walk away saying, what the hell was that from the pass rush? It was one of those games where I looked up and I was like, where was Boza? Where was Javon Hargrave? Where was Eric Armstead? Where was this pass rush? I think the only guy that almost got to Kirk tonight, really, and Boza had a couple of pressures. One I think was on a screen, but The only guy that almost got to him was Randy Gregory on the what I thought should have been an intentional grounding. So you're asking, like, where's the pressure at? Cleveland Farrell almost got him in the end zone early in the ball game, but wasn't really a ton of pressure on Kirk in terms of, near sacks and things of that nature. Now, he definitely threw with the pocket collapsing and bodies around him, and he took some shots to deliver it, but a lot of these pressures didn't feel imminent. The one with Talanoa Hufanga on the boot felt imminent. There was one with Boza on a screen that felt imminent. The Cleveland Farrell play felt imminent. Obviously, the Randy Gregory play that should have been intentional grounding was definitely imminent. But when you drop back 45 times, and we can count them on one hand, the amount of times that you got legit pressure says a lot about that Vikings offensive line, but it also says a lot about the inability of your guys to win, because not everybody's getting double teamed. Bosa's getting chipped, and he's getting double teamed and things of that nature, but not everybody's seeing that, and Bosa wasn't seeing that all night either. It says a lot about your guys' inability to win against one-on-one matchups. So it was a tough go of it tonight. You're in a little bit of a funk. That's 2 in a row after starting the season off 5-0. Everybody patting you on the back, telling you how good you are. Now you've been punched in the mouth. 2 losses in a row. You no longer have the best record in the NFC. That distinction now goes to the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that you're probably going to be battling with for the best record in the NFC and home field advantage. And I think that's important. Where that game played may ultimately determine who goes to the Super Bowl in the NFC if things continue in the direction that it's going. Now, we'll see. Eagles got a tough stretch of football coming up. We'll see how they navigate it. They started off well with the win against the Dolphins, but as we've seen, and the 49ers can attest to this, life comes at you fast, okay? We were just talking about, are they the best team in football 2 Sundays ago? Now, we're talking about, damn, are the 49ers even the second best team? Can the Lions, jump over them? I doubt it. Not after the showing they had, but it's a conversation after you've lost 2 in a row. So it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back. And do they play again next week? See if they got a bye week or if they're back. They play against the Bengals next week. That'll be a big game. They're back home. I mean, it doesn't get any easier. It's Bengals and then it's Jags after that. So you have your bye week after this Bengals game. So you just got to get through this game. You'll get healthier. You'll get Trent Williams back if he's not back next week. You'll get Deebo Samuel back if he's not back next week. Warner obviously probably got a little bit of a thigh contusion, got kneed in his thigh. Greenlaw got up slow. I don't really know what happened to him, but little bumps and bruises. You could use the time off. So you just got to find a way to get through this Bengals game. They're coming off of a bye, and much like the Vikings started the season off slow, now they've rallied back. They were 0-3. Now they're 3-3. So now they're playing with a little bit of confidence. If you can right the ship, get back into your winning ways heading into that bye, it'll propel you because you got a hell of a stretch coming up. After the bye, it's Jags, Bucks, Seahawks, Eagles, Seahawks. So shit gets real for you, right? Because the Seahawks are the one team in the division that can cause you some problems. Everybody else, they ain't about that life in your division. So Eagles are in that mix. Same with the 5-2 Jaguars team that's playing confident football right now. So got to take care of the Bengals first at home. Got to snap. Cannot go into your bye with a 3-game skid. So big win for the Vikings. I thought that the Vikings came out with a level of intensity that I thought the 49ers failed to match for most of the night. If you want my honest opinion. They came out the hungrier, more aggressive football team. And I don't think the 49ers ever really matched their intensity. They came close several times, but I don't think they ever took it to that next level. And I thought it showed most importantly on third downs when the urgency is its greatest to get off the field. The 49ers failed to do that too often tonight. to be victorious. Give your offense more opportunities. How many possessions did the 49ers? Felt like they barely had the ball tonight. I mean, the Vikings scored on 5 straight possessions at one point in this game. How many? I'm going to say the Vikings the 49ers only had 9 possessions, which you're looking for 11 really is the magic number you're looking for in a game. Let's see. Both teams had 9, and that is a testament to the Vikings dominating time of possession. I felt like it was 9 drives. You're looking for 10 or 11 drives. 11 is that number you're trying to get to. That means you're getting off the field and you're giving yourself a chance to possess the football, and they just didn't do that enough tonight. And that's kind of why the game was shortened. And when the game is shortened, it favors the less talented team. And you allowed Minnesota to be comfortable by possessing the football for as long as they did, keeping their offense on the field, but more importantly, keeping your offense off the field. And that wasn't supposed to be the case with your defense. You were supposed to dominate the game on that side of the ball, and you didn't. So anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section, see what you guys have to say. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Kyle writes, "We did it, Lou. Now what? Keep winning. That's what. That's how this works. You won a big game on Monday night against one of the best teams in the conference. Keep going. Use this as fuel to further motivate you to continue to play hot football." Justin Jefferson, when he first went down and they would place him on IR, and I started hearing language like they're not going to play him until he's 100%. That sent off red flags to me. That sounded like, hey, if we out of this shit, he ain't coming back no time soon. That's what it sounded like. Now there's a sense of urgency like, bro, how's that hamstring? Bro, how's that? Like when we get to that 4-week mark, when he's eligible to come back, now you're going to start sweating him. Before he was like, we're 2-8. No need for you to really rush back anytime soon. Take your time. If we don't see you again until Thanksgiving, that's fine. Now you're going to be sweating his ass. Hey, how that hamstring feeling, JJ? How that hamstring feeling? Think you can run a little bit? Like now you got to start sweating them because now you're back in this thing. And I talked about this 2 weeks ago. When you beat the Bears, I said, man, there's a stretch here. Or when you beat the Panthers, I said, there's a stretch here. Now, the 49ers are in there, and they could mess some things up. But I said it's Bears, it's 49ers, it's who's next? Who's next on this joint? We just went over this. It's a lot of winnable games. I know the Falcons are in there. The Saints are in there. We talked about this before the season started. Which division was going to dominate the other? Because neither one of these divisions are any good. The NFC South and the NFC North, neither one of them are good divisions, to be honest with you. So who was going to dominate who? So now you got the Packers, then the Vikings, then the Falcons, then the Saints, then the Broncos, then the Bears, then the Raiders. Like you could get hot. But it's one at a time. Got to go ahead and take care of the Packers first. Big win. Big win for your boys. Brian Haynes, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, with Jonathan being upset, would he demand a trade? No. That's not how he operates. That's not what that's not what that rant was about. That was just pure frustration about the circumstances that he's been drafted into essentially since he's been here all 7 years. This is what it's looked like every year. There's never been a year where we started off 6-2, good football team. It's always 1-5, 1-4, 2-6, that 2-7, that type of shit every year. And you're always losing the teams you have no business. And that it just was frustration. Like everybody knows the Giants are ass. And I guarantee you they never thought they were going to lose that game. But again, they probably didn't think they were going to lose to the Bears either now, did they? And they lost the ball. And that's the frustration. Is like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And nobody knows. I think that's the biggest shame of all of this. Nobody actually knows. We don't have an identity. We don't actually know what we do well. We have an established hierarchy, like, hey, this is our number one receiver. We got to get, like, we're trying to play as if it don't matter who touched the ball. Byron Pringle and Terry McLaurin aren't the same guy. De'Ami Brown and Curtis Samuel, or De'Ami Brown and Jahan aren't the same guy. You can't treat them the same. You can't, the ball's going to go with, no. But that's where we are. But no, Jonathan Allen is not demanding a trade. Eric Sunderland, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Kirk is him on primetime. Kill that narrative now. Look, people are gonna say what they're gonna say about Kirk. It don't matter how much I try to defend him. People always tell me I'm crazy. Kirk is trash, and then as soon as he does something bad, see. But those same, I'm not gonna hear from them tonight. No, I'm not gonna hear from them tonight. Yeah, they go to sleep on this performance. They sleep. I ain't see that shit. Let them throw 2 picks next week and they lose to Green Bay. See, Kirk is ass. He can't win, man. You saw it on the quarterback documentary. He's like, I think it was his wife that might have said it. Like, he can't win. Can't win. Or I think it was his coach. I think it was his coach that said that. He can't win. And he's right. Doesn't matter what Kirk does, he can't win. Barry Curtis Jr., thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, why did we trade Kirk? Life could be different. Well, first of all, we did not trade Kirk. We just did not re-sign him after 2 straight franchise tags. So now, why didn't we trade Kirk is the real question. The 49ers and Kyle Shanahan wanted to give us a first-round pick. That's the question you should be asking, is you knew you weren't going to be able to re-sign him because he didn't want to be back. After you had a chance to re-sign him after the 15 season and you lowballed him, he was like, F y'all. Sean McVay gone to the Rams. That was the only reason I was willing to come back. And he's gone now? And you want to lowball me? I'm out of this bitch. Once you figured out that's where this was going, of course, when you got dum-dums running your organization like Dan Snyder and Bruce Allen, you don't maximize value like Trent Williams. They could have got a shit ton for him instead of just a damn 3rd-round pick for a first ballot Hall of Famer. But that's what happens when you have a dumb organization. Life could be different, but they didn't see it that way. Video channel. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB for 3 months. Who writes, what's up, Lou? What's up, video channel? 3 months strong. Check KOC working the ball to Addison, drawing up plays and targets for the top guy. A wild concept to EB. I already told you, shit is not that hard, man. I told you, it's not rocket science. I swear, coaches make shit a lot harder than they need to. For no reason. I struggle. Excuse me. KOC even went over to the official before the 3rd down play that drew the flag, which he still caught, by the way. He told him, watch number 3 on this play. He knew the route he was running. He knew he was about to get him this work on this Z out. And what'd he do? He ran like a little post, then ran a little back out to like a bench. And the guy mugged him, held him, flag. Our coach would never work the official like, hey, bro, watch this shit. Watch number 3 on this play. He would just arms folded. I had a great time tonight just watching 2 offensive-minded dudes work against pressure. Put on a master class on how to tell somebody back up. Just back up a taste. Just a taste. And then slam the door on some Martin shit, right? Hey, you blitzing? Get out. Get the stepping. Masterclass put on by these 2 offensive-minded head coaches. Come on, bring that shit. Bring that blitz. Boop, screen. Come on, bring that blitz. Go ball. Come on, bring that shit. Slant. Boop. Keep bringing that shit. I'm going to burn your ass to a damn crisp. Masterclass. While our offensive coordinator, his answer is let your guy get his brains beat in the first half and then run 1,800 sprint outs. No screens. We got to beg for the deep ball and no slants or quick game. John Cedillo, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Sup, Lou? Congrats to the Vikes. Impressive game from Kirk. He made some impressive throws tonight. Off topic, game still going on. Go Rangers on to the World Series. I'm shocked that they beat the Astros. Not that they won the series. They were a good team all year. But how they won on the road, and I get it, on the road, Texas is a pretty big damn state. So the difference between Houston and Arlington is massive. It's probably a good 3-4 hour drive. That's my guess. I don't know the geographic landscape and layout of the state of Texas, but it seems like every damn major city is separated by 3-4 hours of drive time, right? But that's no here nor there. To go to Houston and blitz their Game 7 starter and get them out of there as quickly as they did, and before you blink, it was like 8-2. And to score 10 in a deciding Game 7 on the road, there's your blueprint, Arizona Diamondbacks. There it is. Have at it. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. And I think the Phillies are going to win the World Series now, too. Vincent Coe, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, was that Kirk tonight or was that prime Eli Manning? Hey, look, man, y'all going to stop disrespecting my man Kirk. First of all, Kirk can actually move a little bit. And Eli was known for the no-look pass. Kirk sees everything and stares it down and delivers. Again, I just like the fact that some people are finally giving him just a little. I ain't asking for much, man. I ain't telling you that. Troy might have went a little too far with the top 10 thing. I ain't asking for that. I know he's somewhere in that neighborhood. 10 to 13, somewhere in that neighborhood. But I just want my respect, man. I just want Kirk to get his flowers, get him a cold one while he can still, drink it. That's all I'm asking for, man. Mr. HTTR, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, winners and losers, half of us are drinking from the cup. Get ready to take your sip too, Lou. This week was crazy. Bro, I know I got to be sipping from the piss cup. I went 4-9, bro. I think that might be the worst week I've ever had in my life making picks. I'm not bullshitting you. I won 4 games out of 13. It's hard to go and lose double-digit games. I came as close as you can to losing double-digit games. Now, this is what I will take solace in. I know I brought some people with me. And I'm just hoping, I'm praying that somebody had 10. I'm just hoping, but I don't think anybody was as reckless as I was. But it's a lot of games that didn't go the way that people thought it was going to go. And for that, I think I might be safe, But look, I ain't the only one that had 9 losses. I know that. Can somebody get me 10 and keep me clean? That's the question. We'll see. Whether I'm drinking it or not, I'm willing to accept, because if you're going to be aggressive and if you're going to go hard, you got to take the repercussions of your actions. So if it's my time to sip from the piss cup, so be it. Bring it forth. I will sip from the piss cup, but I'm hoping I'm begging somebody, hey, take this distinction off of my damn plate, please. Don't let it be me. Silver V, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, why is Kittle blocking on the last Purdy interception? But shout outs to Cousins. He balled out tonight. Upsets all weekend killed me on my picks. I'm gonna need a 5-pound bag of mints for the piss cup and winners and losers, bro. I'm telling you, you probably ain't got the shit. You think you do, but you probably don't. I'm telling you right now. It was bad for a lot of people. I'm telling you right now, even with my 9 losses, I'm telling you that I'm probably sharing the piss cup. If I, in fact, am drinking, I'm sharing that bitch with about 8, 9 other people. I ain't lying. It was so many upsets. So many upsets. And there were so many games. I told you this was the week where shit was going to start getting crazy, and you got to show that you really about that life. I ain't winning shit this year. I ain't winning the survivor pool, and by the looks of it, I ain't winning winners and losers neither, because this was the week where you were supposed to go, hey, I'm not like the rest. You know, this is where I said like 8-5 would have been this. That's a hell of a week. Ain't nobody win 10 games this week. I put that on my mama. Ain't nobody win 10. I ain't even looked at the sheet yet. But somebody got 8, and that's a hell of a week. Knowing what we know and what we watch, that's a hell of a week. Somebody picked Pittsburgh, all the while picking Atlanta and picking the Giants. Somebody did that shit. Somebody did that shit. I know somebody did. Mike Jink, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Kirk cooked the 85 Bears and Game 7. Lordy Jesus. I'm about to say, you better bring up the Phillies and Diamondbacks. I'm about to say, don't try to act like it ain't supposed to be red October. Like, don't gloss over that shit. Y'all gonna win Game 7 though. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Y'all got it. And you're gonna win the World Series. You're gonna win the World. I told you if the Astros didn't go, it was your chip to lose. The Rangers did your dirty work. Now you just got to take care of business tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow night. DJ23, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes. Somebody said it was a 4-hour drive, 4 to 5 hours, depending on traffic. That sounds about right. In Texas, every major city is like 4 to 5 hours away from each other, it feels like. It says, look at that when getting blitzed. Throw a screen. Like I said, man, I don't pretend to be the smartest guy in the world. And I did not sleep at a Holiday Inn last night. All I know is I've watched football for a very long time. And in doing that, I've developed a certain set of skills that I've been able to acquire over time. And I feel really confident when I say certain things that I'm not just pulling shit out of my ass. Like literally, I've been watching football. I know how you beat the blitz. And that's why I just assumed they would know too, right? Because it's not like we didn't know what was coming. We can do this all night, though. Mike Leslie, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Mike Leslie writes, if you could trade Purdy for Howell, would you pull the trigger? Hell no. Hell no. I'm taking my guys. First of all, Purdy plays in the perfect offense for his skill set, because he's a timing and rhythm guy, gets the ball out quickly, usually very accurately. Like Kyle Shanahan's offense is tailor-made for guys like Brock Purdy. Tua Tagovailoa would be a beast in this offense, which is why he's a beast in Miami under a Kyle Shanahan understudy and Mike McDaniel. Like certain guys just fit certain schemes, and you don't have to have the strongest arm to excel in Sean McVay, in Kyle Shanahan's offense. That said, I want the strong arm kid. I want the guy, and Purdy's a really good athlete. He's a really good athlete. So I don't worry about that with him. But I'm a Sam Howell believer. Yeah, does he hold on to the ball? Yeah, he does. Absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and act like my guy doesn't have flaws and faults. But for every one of those, times he holds, there's a dime in there. There's a dime in there somewhere, right? Just got to give him some time. The Black Al B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. The Black Al B writes, these mother effers shaking my head. Hashtag tank for Penix. Bro, that shit is over with. I don't know how high these quarterbacks are ultimately going to go in this draft. You ain't going to be in a position to draft one just off of a natural selection. If you get one of these boys, you're going to have to trade up. I really don't know what the hell y'all doing. And again, organizations don't tank in football. In basketball, absolutely teams tank all the time. Football, ain't no such thing as tanking, because in basketball, it's a little different. There's an understanding. Front office will tell the head coach, hey, don't play this dude. As a matter of fact, trade his ass or send him home. We need to lose basketball games. Let the young fellas play. Let the young fellas get some minutes. so we can make sure we in this lottery. In football, your head coach lose and he might get fired. The GM might get fired. Like we over here fighting for our life. We can't lose football games on purpose. Are you kidding me? So it was never going to be. It felt like y'all were trending in that direction, but just off the strength of your schedule, the division that you play in and the division that you're playing in the NFC, there was no way that this was going to continue. I didn't think you were going to win this game, but even if you lost this game, I still thought you could get on a run and win 6 out of your next 7. But winning this one says, hey, why not win 8 straight? It can happen. Independent Outsider. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, oh my God. Oh, Addison. Oh my God. Jackson Smith. Who? That touchdown was legend. This was an interesting draft when it came to the receivers because it was all about who's your flavor, what you were looking for. Addison wasn't going to blow you away with the wheels, but if you were looking for a supremely gifted route runner, he was the guy. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, didn't play a ton of football. What felt like these last 2 years at Ohio State, had that crazy Rose Bowl game, and then felt like he really didn't play a ton of football after that. Injuries and things of that nature. But these guys are talented. Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be just fine in Seattle. I firmly believe that. Everybody wants instant gratification with young players. Nobody wants to be patient anymore. These guys, you look at another team who drafted a guy either right before or right after the guy that you drafted, and he's having success and your guy isn't, and so our guy sucks. That's the nature of the beast now, which I can't stand it. I don't participate in it. I steer clear of that stuff, but that's a hell of a catch. It really was. Frankie, yo, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, missed the game yesterday. Looks like it might have been a good one to miss. Yikes. Yeah, especially the first half. It was a stinker. That was one of the worst games played by 2 teams that you can watch. I mean, 14-7 tells it all, tells the story, but it doesn't do it justice, man. Tress Way punted 10 times in the game for 512 yards. He averaged 51.2 yards per punt. The man set a career high in punts, yards, all of that good stuff. That's never a record you're looking for anybody to set. Anyway, the aftermath looks worse than the Bears game. What did I tell you on Friday? If we lose this game, it will be 10 times worse than the Bears game. Because the Bears game was the Bears. Yeah, it sucked. They were winless and all of that good stuff. But it was a short – you can make excuses for that one. It's a short week, yada, 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 whatever. The Giants stink and they're in the division. And you know how much emphasis we put on divisional games. And we went out there and we laid an egg against a divisional opponent who is absolutely the worst. I mean, that game was comical. The fact that we were even in the ball game tells you everything you need to know. They should have scored 27 points and beat us comfortably, but they decided to try to give the game away because they stink so bad. And we stink just as bad because we couldn't take advantage of all the gifts they were giving us. Indian Lake, Ohio. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, should Commanders try and trade with Bears for number 1 or trade down and team build? I don't really know how to approach that. I mean, who's the Bears number 1? Like you ask that and it seems a bit luckish. I'll say that, but I'll answer the question anyway. The Bears don't have the number 1 overall pick, and they're not going to have the number 1 overall pick. I think that distinction is going to go to Carolina. Now, I guess that's why you're asking, because the Bears, I'm assuming, have Carolina's first-round pick next year, because I don't know if they have that or not. I assumed it was just a pick swap, and then DJ Moore was the de facto first-round pick, if you will. I didn't know if they had given up an additional first rounder next year in addition to DJ Moore. Maybe that's what they did. And if that is in fact the case, then the Bears will have the number 1 overall pick because the Panthers are going to finish with the worst record in football. That said, what is it going to take to get all the way up there? And if you're the Bears, are you really going to pass up a second opportunity to draft a quarterback? Because Justin Fields don't look like he's it. Are you really going to pass up another opportunity? Can you really afford to do that? I think the answer is no. I think the answer is no, but we'll see. Eric Sunderland, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Just check. 9 losses is safe in winners and losers from Piss Cup. I figured it would be. This was a bloodbath this week. I'm telling you, there's probably somebody with 11 losses this week. It was that nasty. Their 2 wins might be the Chiefs and the Seahawks. Because another thing that you got to keep in mind, there weren't a lot of the bad teams either weren't playing or they won. So you couldn't pick on the Giants or, hey, who the Jets playing? They playing anybody good? The Broncos were playing the Packers. You got one of these badass teams got to win, right? So you got to pick between which is the lesser of 2 evils, right? But there was no Panthers. Well, whoever the Panthers playing, I know they're going to win. Like those teams were off this week. And there was a lot of evenly matched games, family business matchups, right? So somebody probably got 11 losses. Somebody probably got 11 of them things. I figured 9 would be safe, but I mean, if you beg him to not sit from the Piss Cup with a 9-loss week, you're doing some real nasty work, man. That's some real nasty work. The Black Al B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, to be clear, I only say tank because they're not keeping Kirk past this season. It doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like they're going to re-up on Kirk again. Not doing nothing in the playoffs. Time to find the QB of the future. I thought you should have drafted Hendon Hooker. Clearly, you didn't love Hendon Hooker, but I thought that would have been the perfect scenario for him. Kirk's going to be here 1 more year, give him full time to heal from his injury. You don't have to play him at all. Kirk never gets hurt, so he's never going to see the field this year. He'll have all the time to learn behind Kirk, study the offense, be comfortable, and then next year he can come in and hit the ground running, and you don't have to spend a top flight pick because Kirk's not going to leave you in a position where you're going to have a top flight draft pick anyway. I just thought Hendon Hooker, and it's not like somebody beat you to it. You turned down Hendon Hooker 3 times. Like, nah, we good. Okay. Mike Jink, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, Lou, did you see Warner jump the pile and stop it? Yeah, but see, you can't do that against the Eagles because they don't let that jump in the pile shit work. See, first of all, how that worked was first of all, Kirk was too high, right? Hurts never is that high. He gets low as a bitch. That's number 1. Number 2, the Eagles, when they push, they also push anybody that's at the top. They push them over the top. So, like, y'all shit is just different. It just hits different. And you got to be really strategic in how you defend y'all brotherly shove because don't nobody do it like y'all. Spake Gang Gamers, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Lou, what we going to do? Tired of losing, man. Who ain't tired of losing? That's why I was so distraught for about 24 hours. LB hit me up and was like, yo, you trying to go live to preview our game? I'm like, bro, I ain't got shit to say. I'm like, I ain't got nothing for you right now. Like, if you want me to, I'll post. I'll be there in spirit. But body and soul won't be there. I mean, my physical being will be there, but I ain't got shit for you. This shit talking, greasy, grimy, I don't give a Lou ain't gonna be there. That's the dude you need, and that I'm just not in that headspace right now. I'll be there by Wednesday. I'll be back. But I was like, I mean, I'll post if that's what you want. I'll jump up there with you, go live. But you ain't getting nothing out of me. If y'all want to laugh at me for 45 minutes, be my guest. If that's all you're going to get out of it. I'm tired of losing, bro. So I wish I had answers. I wish I had answers. Niners fan. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Niners fan. I'm going to get to some of your comments, man. We ain't going to get out of here without getting to what you had to say tonight. Don't worry. Cypher XD. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Cypher XD writes, what's your take about possibly bringing in Kelvin Shepard, linebackers coach, as DC? I don't really. So here's the thing. This year is a wash, right? And as far as like coaching staff next year, we can't even begin to have that kind of discussion because you got to see who the GM is. Then the GM has to pick a coach. Then the coach has to pick his staff. And generally, when a coach gets hired, he's going to bring his buddies with him. Guys that either he knows and trusts or guys that he said, if I get a job, I already know who I'm bringing with me. The most important hire after the GM and head coach next year will, in fact, be, well, there'll be two important hires, I think. After head coach and GM, I think the next two, and we'll talk more about this tomorrow, I think, on the show, because we live tomorrow night. I think the next two important hires are going to be defensive coordinator, because I want an offensive-minded guy. This is if you get an offensive-minded guy to mentor Sam, and if Sam isn't the guy, whomever we get at quarterback, you're going to need an offensive-minded guy, I feel like, period. That stops you from having to worry about the offense changing 15 million times. The next two biggest hires are going to be offensive line coach, because we got to fix this shit. And we need to get more. We got to get more bodies in there, more talent. But even the guys that we already have, we got to coach the shit out of them. So offensive line coach and defensive coordinator are going to be your two biggest hires after GM and head coach next year. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section. Niners fan. Hargrave, Armstead, Bosa, Gregory, Jackson, and the best linebacker duo in football, and we couldn't stop the run. Embarrassing. I'm glad you brought that up, because I really think that the Vikings, who did trade for your boy from the Rams, can't think of his damn name, Cam Akers. I think he's going to play a pivotal role in the Vikings run game moving forward. He looked good. I don't like that number on him, though. 31 is nasty. Ugh, that's nasty. But and certain dudes can freak it. What is Raheem Mostert's number? Isn't he 31? He 30-something. Maybe it ain't 31. But he 30-something. It don't look bad on him. But Cam Akers in 30, and I guess because Cam Akers came from like wearing a single-digit number to that. Yeah, that's nasty. But whatevs. But yeah, a little disappointed. They set the tone early. The very first run of the game, the first play of the game, was a toss to Alexander Madison, who ain't did pretty much shit all season, and he rips off like a 26-yard run. Like, when did Dalvin Cook get back in Minnesota? So, yeah, it was tough. And I thought it was the ability to run the football consistently throughout the night that kind of kept y'all off balance. Again, I talked about that with Washington and the inability to run the football against the blitz to slow them down. Madison, 8 for 39. Akers, 10 for 31. So they didn't really kill you, but it wasn't like you didn't suffocate their run game. That would have allowed you to then, but I can't even say that because you still got the Vikings in the third and long constantly and consistently tonight. You just didn't get off the field. Niners fan writes, every year our defense shows its true colors. This year it's the Vikings game. Last year it was the Chiefs game. Our front four can be neutralized with the right game plan. So in today's NFL, you're seeing less and less defenses be able to control the game consistently. It's tough because NFL offenses are so far advanced to the point now where you can neutralize a pass rush with the quick game, with the screens, with so many different things. You can chip, you can double, you can match protect. They even threw in a trick play to get you thinking about different shit where they threw the ball, backwards, and then they threw it to the receiver on the other side, and then he caught it, and then he had a convoy, but they came back because they called offensive pass interference. But they threw so many different wrinkles at you to keep you guys guessing as to what was coming. The biggest surprise for me was the lack of pressure on obvious passing situations on third down, because I'm gonna go to the game and I'm gonna tell you we're gonna run off some of these third downs. All right. So 3rd and 12, 25 16-yard pass to Hawkinson on the 3rd and 12 from their own 9-yard line. All right. So that's the 3rd and 12. That's one. We're going to count how many 3rd and 7s or longers the Vikings had in this game and converted. So that's one. All right. See. 3rd and 10. Okay. It was a 2nd and 24. If you recall, that was the screen play, the double pass that they call OPI on. And so it was 2nd and 24. They got 16, and then they got to 3rd and 10, and then they hit another screen to Cam Akers for 30 yards. Again, another blitz. I told you it was a master class on how you defeat the blitz tonight. So that's 2, right? You're able to hold them to a field goal. So that's 2. All right. That's the end of the half touchdown. So 3rd and okay. Let's see. 3rd and 12. They did not convert that one. That's the one where he decided to punt. They got a 7-yard gain out of it, which you'll give that up on 3rd and 12. 3rd and 7. He got a 9-yard pass to Isaiah Oliver, so that's 3. That drive ended in a punt. We got a 3rd and 10. They only got 4, so they didn't convert there. That's when they missed the field goal, and that's it. So I felt like there were more 3rd and longs. They were in 3rd, so they were right. They were in 3rd and manageable a lot in this game. I misremembered that. Felt like they were in 3rd and long a lot more than they were. So and that's a byproduct of what you spoke to already, which is the run game not being shut down and them feeling comfortable getting into those 3rd and 4 and 5s. I saw a steady diet of those while I was going through the 3rd down logs. So I don't think it's anything like I feel like fans do. Now, this is the thing. You've been a 49ers fan your entire life. You've watched this team. So you know, just like I know what my team customarily does. And you can't tell me that my team isn't going to do this because I see them do this every year. So I can't tell you what your team is or isn't going to do because you watch this team closely and you know what they do every year. But I had a Miami Dolphins fan losing his shit last night. SoFlo Sports. Love that dude. But he was losing his shit like, we suck. We're fraudulent. This, that, and the third. We do this shit every year. And so, and I was just telling him, chill, bro. Chill. You good. And I'm telling you the same thing. You freak out sometimes because you're frustrated. And I remember one year, I think it was like 2 years ago. You guys, matter of fact, it was last year. I think it was last year. It might have been. It was 2 years ago. Last year, you was pretty chill because you were ready to start the Trey Lance era. So you was chill. You knew you were gonna take lumps, and then the shit went sideways. Purdy came. It was 2 years ago, and because I think 2 years ago was when you lost to the Rams in the championship game. And y'all started slow that year, and you had some stinkers early on in the season, and you was ready to give up. And then y'all got hot, and and I was like, bro, I'm telling you, y'all not as bad as you think. Y'all turned it around. You end up making it to the NFC Championship game. You lost to the Rams. But I'm not saying that that's what this is. I think you're fine. I think you're overreacting. I know you're frustrated. You hate losing games that you should win. This was a game you should have won. But don't overreact is what I'm telling you. I think you'll be fine. Niners fan writes, I thought we could finally play press man this year with Wilkes, but Ward was getting cooked all night. I think it's pretty clear the Eagles are the better football team and it's not close. I wouldn't go that far about the Eagles being the best team and it's not close. I do think they're better than you right now. And they continue to add pieces. Like, if you're serious about competing, I say you go out and you go after the Broncos cornerback and see if you can't get, and again, it's going to take a lot. And that's the thing. Are you really willing to risk it all? Do you think Brock Purdy can win you a Super Bowl? Yes or no? If you say the answer is yes, I would go after Patrick Surtain II, because that would drastically change your defense. If Charvarius Ward is your second corner instead of your first, and Lenore is your third corner, that drastically changes what you can do defensively. You're a different ball club. And I'm not telling you that Mooney Ward can't get it done. I don't think he is capable of getting it done, but he's a good corner. But how serious? Because the Eagles are serious. You see what they're doing. They see the window of opportunity and they're going for it. How serious are you? There's dudes out here available. How bad you want it? Like trading the little 7th rounder for Randy Gregory, that's cool. The Eagles went out here and got a game-changing safety at the position that they're struggling at the most. If you think corner is a position you struggle, go address that. There are options out there. Go address that. Derek B. Is it tush push? Because that's what the Eagles do. Push cheeks. Look, I already told you. That shit is borderline cheating when they do it. That shit is borderline cheating. Yes, I said border with a T and not a D. Niners fan, I'm tired of the bully mentality. We aren't even on the Eagles level in the trenches. We talked all that shit about them in the offseason. It's pathetic. And you didn't have Debo and Trent. That changes who you are, because they're a huge part of your bully mentality. They're as physical as they get at their respective positions. You add in George Kittle and Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, and it doesn't get much more physical than that. But on offense, 50 to 60% of your physicality was not in the lineup tonight. You can't ignore that, man. Niners fan says, oh yeah, and Brock showed his true colors as well. We are fraudulent. There we go. I knew it was coming. Every time a fan wants to overreact about a loss his team has on a big primetime stage, that is their favorite word. We're fraudulent. There it is. I was waiting on it. I didn't know if it was going to come or not. There it is. We will go to the link and get smacked again in January and find a way to make more excuses. Just sickening. We'll see. I can't argue with you. You feel the way that you feel right now. Just let it breathe. That's all I can say to you. See how you play against the Bengals. Hit your bye week. Lick some of your wounds, right? And then come back and talk to me in a few weeks, and we'll revisit this. Still see if you feel the way that you feel right now. Says, last one, where the hell was our pass rush? That was my biggest question. Again, for all the money we spent, that was not good enough. Nick Bosa looks rusty, and he may be. He's dealt with some stuff. Those Bosas, man, very, very finely tuned athletes. always in the shop. They're foreign vehicles. Got to keep those boys, tuned up, keep all of their fluids at peak levels. Any little thing off, them boys are back in the shop. He's a lot more durable than his brother, though. But anyway, you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine. You got to also give the Vikings offensive line some credit. And like you said, they had a plan, clearly. They had a plan. They stuck to it, and they were very, very consistent. So anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Monday Night Football Overtime. Vikings protect their house 22-17 with the upset victory over the now 5-2 San Francisco 49ers, who drop from the ranks of the best in the NFC to 5-2, now looking up at the 6-1 Eagles. Meanwhile, the Vikings continue to scratch their way out of an 0-3 hole that they dug themselves to start the season. They've now won 3 out of their last 4. They sit at 3-4 with a very, very doable schedule coming up, including a date with the Packers next week. Opportunities against teams like the Raiders and the Bears and the Saints, all on the horizon for a team feeling like they're playing some good football right now. Big win. We'll see what they do with the momentum that they've built. Big win at home. Let's see if they can parlay that to a win in the division. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this Sister Surround. Sister Surround, stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB mob. Y'all know what to do. Show Sister Surround some love. Welcome Sister Surround with open arms. Welcome to the squad, Sister Surround. And with that, y'all get out of here. I'll see you tomorrow for the Louie T Network podcast. We'll break down week number 7 in the National Football League into all of its splendor. Till then, you guys have a good one. God bless and good night.